I want you all to meet someone. Well, you've probably met him before from like previous videos you've seen him in, but we didn't do a proper introduction. Also, pull the mic a bit closer to you. There we go. So, everyone, this is JT.
What's up?
JT is a jack of all trades in certain regards. Specifically when it comes to vocal work, the man has his own solo project, Six Scars, which, by the way, we're doing music reactions, and part of them will be posted on his Six Scars channel. Then not only that, but also JT is also the lead singer in a music project that me and Jacob and Kathan and Keith and Nick and now JT, we've all been working on it now for well over a year. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. It is called Killbait Overdose, which y'all can check out here sooner rather than later. And then of course there is there's several other things we got happening in the irons but some irons in the furnace, but that's a story for another time. But I just figured I would give JT the floor if you want to tell the people about yourself a little bit, because they haven't really had a chance to meet you yet.
Yeah. So, basically, kind of filling out what he said, I'm, I don't want to say a jack of all trades, but I'm a music lover, first and foremost. Love comic books, love movies, love figuring out what else I can get into. That's why I wanted to do this reaction type channel.
Yeah. Well, JT's been through a lot in his life, and he's figured out, he's been able to branch out and do more with life and with his life and everything here recently, and just the fact that I've been able to interact with him has just been amazing. And I'm happy that he's here with us, and we hope that you all enjoy his company moving forward. And I guess we have a video here, but so one thing I figured we would do is introduce JT to several of the channels that we react to on here, including Mr. Ballin. So, Mr. Ballin is a YouTuber who has accrued quite a following, as you can see here.
Yeah.
8.87 million subscribers, and he is what you would call a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious. Loves telling scary stories, and he loves indulging in stories that people send in, mysteries that are unsolved and stuff like that. He's a lot of fun. Mr. Ballin is a lot of fun, and he has a plethora of videos. He has, as a matter of fact, 364 videos on his channel.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, we got this little counter thing here, and he is a he's quite the character. And I figured we would check him out just so that JT can get a taste of what Mr. Ballin's all about. So this one is called He Had a Deplorable Set of Skills. Okay. Top 3 Celebrity Secrets.
Today, I'm going to share 3 little-known, ridiculous backstories of 3 very famous people, and the last one has a very satisfying ending. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, you've come to the right place, because that's all we do, and we upload 2 or 3 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please replace the like button's Shroot-Bucks with Stanley Nichols. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories.
Shroot-Bucks and Stanley Nichols. Someone watches The Office. That someone is me. I used to watch The Office.
I've never been a fan.
In 1971, a 19-year-old Irishman named William began studying physics and computer science at a university in Belfast, Northern Ireland. While he was certainly smart enough to complete the 4-year degree, after 1 year of being in this school, he decided to drop out because he felt like this was not the path he wanted to be on. So he moved back home to a town about 30 minutes north of Belfast, where he got a job as a forklift driver and truck driver for the Guinness Beer Factory. And while he loved this job, he still felt like this was not the path for him. He needed to do something more with his life. And so he decided he would pursue what 2 of his siblings had gone on to do, which was to become a school teacher. He had always admired his school teachers growing up, and he idolized his 2 siblings that had become teachers, and so it felt like the right fit. And so William applied to a 4-year teaching college in Newcastle in England, and after he was accepted, he flew to England, he got set up, and then he began his studies. The first year was great. He loved what he was doing, he did feel like this is the right fit, and he was getting good grades, everything was going exactly to plan. But then year 2 happened and everything went off the rails. A requirement to graduate from this 4-year teaching college was all the aspiring teachers starting in their 2nd year had to go teach real students real lessons. They basically had to go to high schools and elementary schools and fill in for the real teacher and give a real lesson. And they were scored on their ability to do that. But all the aspiring teachers knew that when you gave these real lessons to real students, what really ended up happening was the students did not take the aspiring teachers seriously. They viewed them as kind of like substitute teachers, and so they didn't respect them and they didn't listen to them. And so typically these real teaching sessions just turned into the aspiring teachers desperately trying to calm down their pupils long enough to get them to listen to their lesson plan for just 1 second.
Hated substitutes.
But normally it didn't work.
There were some substitutes that were cool. We had several that were actually all right.
Really?
Yeah. And my sister was a substitute teacher. And Chad, oh gosh, Chad and his friend Jesse Miles, they would always be getting into trouble, including, but not excluding, one of them using their unit to stop a desk fan. And here's the thing. I remember them talking about it, and then I remember the sound. Just it was like and all of a sudden you just heard, you doing it, like, you doing all right? He's like, good. It was a bet, and he won the bet, and he won like some money out of it. Thank God it wasn't a metal one. If it was a metal one, that would have been painful.
He might not have a unit.
Well, he might not have, but hey, or he could have just gotten circumcised. I mean, either way. Anyway, by the way, it wasn't Chad that did that. It was Jesse.
Out, and before long the day was over and nothing was really accomplished. So in William's 2nd year, when it was his turn to go over to a high school and administer his lesson plan, he went over there knowing what he was up against. He did not really expect it to go well, but he decided he would go in there with a positive attitude and he would try to do his best. But as soon as he walked into his classroom, he immediately could tell he was going to be overwhelmed. Everybody's standing up and talking amongst themselves, and they turn around and they see William walking in, and they have this moment of realization that their real teacher is not going to be teaching them that day. It's going to be this substitute, William, and they all kind of gleefully began laughing and joking, and they just turned their backs on William and kept talking amongst themselves. And so William goes inside, he puts his stuff on the desk, and he attempts to get the class to listen to him by saying, "Hey everyone, come on, sit down, time to listen up, I'm your new teacher for the day."
Yeah.
But the kids just were not listening. And so finally, William, who was a really big guy, he was 6'4", he was in great shape, he kind of postured himself and then yelled at the class, "Sit down right now." And at this, the class did turn around and looked at William and kind of sized him up, and most of them decided, okay, it's time to sit down. And so 99% of the class goes quiet and sits down, except for one kid. It was this 15-year-old boy who was at the back of the room, and he was standing up, defiant, with his arms crossed, staring at William with a smirk on his face. And all around him, all his cronies were sitting down, looking up at him, laughing, and kind of looking up at William and laughing at him, knowing that
it's not you, it's Asher.
Where is he?
I think he's trying to go upstairs.
Oh.
Confrontation was about to ensue. And so William is staring at this kid, trying to get him to just sit without saying anything, and this kid is just mean mugging him with his arms crossed, and nothing's happening. And so William walks right up to him and kind of leans over his shoulder and says, "You need to go out in the hallway right now. I will meet you out there." And then William turned around and started walking back towards the front of the room, expecting this to have worked, that this 15-year-old kid would have just followed right along and he'd walk right out to the hallway and that would be that. But when he turned back around again, the 15-year-old kid had not moved. He was still standing in the back of the classroom, arms crossed, staring up at William, basically saying, "Make me." And at this, William lost his mind. He was so mad and so frustrated at how unbelievably disrespectful this kid was being, and really the whole class was being to him, that he just kind of lost it. And he ran up to this kid in the back of the room and he gets right up in his face. And remember, William is 6'4". He's a big guy. And he gets right in the kid's face and he's like, "Get out in the hall right now!" And this kid doesn't flinch. Instead, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a knife, and he holds it right up against William. And William, without any hesitation, just winds up and blasts this kid across the side of the head, sending him flying over.
I'm sorry, but the kid pulled a knife.
Yeah, like...
Look, here's the thing. My mom was a teacher, and there was a time when she had to defend herself where a student was trying to hit her, and my mom literally like pushed her out into the hall, closed the door, and locked the door. And I'm sorry, but like when you pull a knife on somebody, all bets are off.
Yep.
Just like I'll deck you across. I'll elbow you in the jaw.
As of right now, teachers in the clear. I don't know where this story is gonna go, but in my opinion, the kid put a knife to him. Like,
yeah.
That's threatening somebody's life.
That's a deadly threat.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but that's basically like possession of a deadly weapon with the intent to harm.
Yep.
So yeah.
For a kid sitting at a desk. He goes flying over this kid and crumples into the corner. And then when he stands up, he drops the knife and puts his hands up and he's like, okay, I'll go out in the hall. And William's like, go out in the hall right now. And so the kid ran out of the classroom. He goes out into the hall and the whole class is totally silent. No one even wants to look up at William. They're all kind of just looking down at their desk, trying to be as quiet as possible. And William walks back to the front of the class and proceeds to teach the rest of the lesson. As soon as the high school learned that this aspiring teacher, William, had basically knocked out one of their students, even though it seemed like it might have been a little bit deserved, they immediately told the teacher's college, and the teacher's college immediately expelled William. And so now William is suddenly jobless, and he's kind of lost again in the world. He doesn't know what he wants to do now because he really had committed to being a teacher. And so he goes back to his home in Northern Ireland, and he begins thinking about, what is he going to do next? And he keeps having this thought that he should pursue this thing that he's always been interested in, but he had never taken seriously because it felt so risky. But now that basically everything in his life had fallen apart, he had nothing to lose. So he decided, what the heck, I will do the thing that I've always wanted to do. And that was stage acting. And so he went and auditioned with a local theater company in Belfast. He was accepted into the theater troupe. And then 4 years later, he was discovered performing on stage by a Hollywood filmmaker. And they cast him in a movie. And the rest, as they say, is history. William Neeson, better known as Liam Neeson, would go on to star in...
What? Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, when they said Ireland, I was just like, okay, what Irish actors do I know? There's Brendan Gleeson, Liam Neeson, Pierce Brosnan. It's like there's several. I was just like, okay, let's see where this goes. And then when they said William, I'm like, William. Back in my brain, who the hell is William? And then Liam. I was just like, it was like William Neeson. As soon as I said Neeson, I'm like, Liam. There you go. Liam Neeson.
Damn.
And there you go.
So I'm stupid because I never thought Liam actually stood for William.
Yeah. Well,
I'm an idiot over here. So.
No, you're not an idiot. You're cool, dude. You're all right.
Dozens of huge movies and TV shows, and he's probably best known for his epic role in the movie Taken, where he is this CIA operative with a particular set of skills, and in this movie he punches a lot of people in the face.
He had a deplorable set of skills.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, the title.
Just like when he was a teacher.
Yeehaw, cowboy, baby.
In 1963, when Tim Dick was just 10 years old, he went over to his friend's house and he snuck a bottle of whiskey from one of their shelves. He pulled it out and he poured himself a full glass to the brim with whiskey, and then he downed it in one huge gulp. Tim had grown up idolizing cowboys on TV, and every time he watched them, they would come galloping into some town, they would go into the saloon, and they would sit at the bar just throwing back shots of whiskey. And so Tim always assumed whiskey must be this totally amazing, refreshing drink for these guys to be drinking it out in the heat of the desert.
No, they drink it to just be like, oh God, I wish I had something to like take my mind off this heat.
Yeah, I'm good.
About 5 more of them, please.
I'm a vodka man.
Huh?
I'm vodka.
Oh. Yeah, clear as vodka.
But unfortunately for Tim, after he slugged this huge glass of whiskey, it was not refreshing. It tasted like gasoline, and his chest felt like it was on fire. But instead of being turned off by alcohol and waiting until he was older and of age to try it again.
Hold on. Been waiting for this call. Hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Are you recording?
Yeah, me and JT are just sitting down here.
Oh, you're not recording yet?
No.
Oh, okay. I was on the phone with your mama.
That's what I figured.
I tried to call you, but then I was like, oh shit, he's recording. And then I was like, well, I gotta talk to Andy anyway, so.
Yeah, I hear you.
But I just thought I'd call you back. I may lose you, though, because I'm going through the mountains, so.
Yeah, it'll happen. Yeah, me and JT are just sitting down here. We're just enjoying the time.
Yep.
I guess.
Your mama said that she told you that the couch is going to be delivered on Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah. Between 2 and 6. Yeah, it'll be here. You still there?
Yeah. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I talked to her, and also the covers for the couch will be in on the they'll be in on the 15th. That's their estimate right now. So the day after.
Okay. Well, it may not be to have the cats up, but I still want to prepare just in case we do have to have them up.
Yeah, I get you.
I'm gonna try to get the walls washed in the living room, and then tomorrow we can go get some paint.
Okay. That works for me.
What is Nick doing right now?
He wasn't here whenever we got here. Now I think he's upstairs in his room.
Okay. Have him spot me on the ladder while you guys are recording.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you can do that.
Well, I won't keep you. I know you gotta record. Tell JT I said hello.
Well, he's right here.
Hola, ¿cómo está?
Hi.
You doing okay?
I'm doing okay. Just wear mask off, that's all.
I understand.
Typical. Yeah, but
Yep.
all right. So be safe getting home, and I guess you can ask Nick to help you whenever you get home. All right.
Okay.
All right, Kate. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Post-production 8, please be sure to edit that out, because if Kate sees this, she will kill me. Yes. Anyway, back to this.
And Tim instead thought, you know what? The next time I have whiskey, I just need to water it down a little bit. And so for the next year, Tim continued to periodically sneak whiskey out of his friends' cabinets, and he would drink this watered down whiskey. And then, when he turned 11 years old, his father...
11? 11?
Okay, look, I started drinking at 12. I can't say shit.
Okay.
11 is...
I didn't start drinking until I was like 16, but I did partake of cannabis whenever I was 12. So, I mean, yeah, that was, oh boy.
Yeah.
Father, who he was very close with, died tragically in a car accident. And Tim really didn't have a good way to cope with the grief of losing his father, and so he turned to drinking even more than he already was. And before long, Tim was like this young kid who basically was an alcoholic.
Damn.
But he hid it extremely well. He graduated high school, he graduated college, and really nobody knew he was drinking as much.
Did you see the tag up there?
Yes.
This young kid.
Hold on, let's... Just in case this nudist terrified a country.
Like what?
Jesus.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just like, what?
Jesus.
Kid who basically was an alcoholic. But he hid it extremely well. He graduated high school, he graduated college, and really nobody knew he was drinking as much as he was. But after he graduated college and he was living on his own in Michigan, there was no structure in place or person in place to stop Tim from going overboard with his substance abuse. And so not only did his drinking get completely out of control, but he began using and selling drugs, namely cocaine. In 1978, when Tim was 25 years old, he and his drug dealing partner were scheduled to take part in the biggest drug deal of their careers. They would be selling about 1.5 pounds of cocaine to a guy named Michael Pfeiffer, and he'd be buying it for $42,000, which, when you adjust that for inflation, would be like buying it for $175,000 in 2021. Tim and his partner were very excited about all this money they were going to make, but they were equally worried about the transaction. A lot can go wrong. And so Tim decided, in order to mitigate their nerves and kind of make this a safer drug deal, he decided they would do the transaction inside of a public airport, because Tim had seen that done on TV and believed that would give them an additional layer of safety.
Why would you do that in a public place? Like,
well, here's the thing. It's not like they're going to open up and be like, hey, here's the cocaine. But instead they'll like have 2 suitcases. They'll like sit at the top of the table and just be like, so how was business? Yeah, business was good. You should see our profits. And then like gesture down, and then just like kick over a suitcase. The other's just like, I hear that. I was gonna say, the snow caps this year quite thick. Slides over the briefcase full of coke, and then they both like switch up, and they're just like, well, same time next month. See you then. And that was it. And where it's in a public place, no one's gonna be like breaking out a gun and just be like, all right, now you give me the money.
Sure.
It's like, you got the stuff? Yeah, I got the stuff. You got the money? Yeah, I got the money. But you don't see the money until I see the stuff. And then basically, it's just, for me, my favorite one of that like standoff like that is from Family Guy. Like Stewie and Brian are in like this down and out hotel in the middle of nowhere. And then they're like trying to sleep, and then all of a sudden you hear in the next room, it's like, you got the stuff? Yeah, I got the stuff. Let me see the money. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, for God's sakes, we're never going to sleep. He's wearing a wire! What? You son of a... You hear a dead body just... And then you hear like someone open the door and leave, and then Stu just goes... rolls over and goes to sleep. It's like, there you go.
I think I just grew up to be Stewie.
Hey man, I can relate.
Safety. And so on the day this deal is going to take place, Tim takes the 1.5 pounds of cocaine, he puts it inside of a brown Adidas gym bag, and he also throws a key lock inside of this bag. He zips it up, he walks outside, he dumps the bag in the back of his car, and he drives to the Kalamazoo International Airport in Michigan. When he gets there, he parks in the big parking lot right outside of the front doors, and as soon as he's parked, he goes around to the back of his car, he pulls out this brown Adidas bag, he throws it over his shoulder, shuts his trunk, and then he waits for his partner to show up. A couple of minutes later, right on time, his partner pulls into the lot, he parks nearby, and then the two of them very casually begin walking towards the front doors of this airport. They walk up the steps, they go in the front doors, and as soon as they're inside, they're looking around, and they find Michael Pfeiffer. He's standing up against the wall right in the area he had said he would be. And so without making any sort of contact with Michael, Tim and his partner turn the corner, and they go into a nearby locker room. Once they're inside, Tim pulls the lock out of the brown bag, and then he puts the bag with the drugs in it inside of a locker. He shuts it and then uses the lock he had just pulled out to lock the locker. And then he and his partner leave the locker room.
That's the other thing too. Locker exchanges. Basically, you come up with one set of keys. They come up with the other set of keys. Slide across the table. Boom, boom. You go to one end of the airport. They go to the other end of the airport. Open up the lockers. Exchange and go.
out into the main terminal, they start walking over towards Michael Pfeiffer, and as they get closer and closer, Tim's partner breaks off and goes to a bench on the other side of the terminal, and Tim continues walking on right up to Michael. And then when he reaches Michael, he very discreetly hands him the key to the lock on the locker, and he tells him which locker number the drugs are in. Michael doesn't say anything. He takes the key and he heads off to the locker room. Tim turns and he goes over to his partner and he sits down on the bench and waits. Meanwhile, Michael goes inside the locker room. He uses the key, he opens up the lock, he opens the locker up, he checks to make sure the drugs are still there. They are. As soon as that's confirmed, he takes the bag, he throws it over his shoulder, and he walks back out to the main terminal to meet up with Tim and his partner. Tim and his partner are sitting on the bench. They see Michael coming out of the locker room, and they're expecting Michael to walk over and basically hand them a bag full of $42,000. But instead, Michael walks up to them and draws a gun and points it at them and says, "I'm a police officer, you're under arrest." It would turn out this was a sting operation. Michael Pfeiffer, the undercover police officer, had been following around Tim and his partner for months. In Michigan at the time, if you were caught trying to sell 650 grams or more of cocaine, there was an automatic penalty of a life sentence. And Tim and his partner had just been arrested trying to sell more than 650 grams of cocaine.
Yeah,
and so facing a life sentence, Tim took a deal that gave him a lesser sentence in exchange for information about other drug dealers. And so Tim would ultimately serve 2 years and 4 months in a federal penitentiary before he was released. Tim would say his time in prison was absolutely miserable, but it was necessary. It matured him in a major way, and it honed his sense of humor. Tim was always a very funny guy. He was always the class clown and the guy goofing around, but in prison, he found it a very difficult task to get these hardened prisoners and prison guards to laugh at his jokes. But eventually, with enough practice and repetition, he could get anybody in that prison to laugh at him. And so by the time he got out, he was like an amazing comedian. And so he decided, you know what? Why don't I pursue a career in comedy?
Yeah,
4 years later, Tim Dick, better known as Tim Allen, landed the starring role.
Yeah. Unbelievable, right? Oh, no. I guarantee you, as soon as the cop pulls the gun, I'm like, oh, no.
My dad had that same haircut.
Really? Oh my god!
I'll have to show you a picture.
Did he have the same mustache too?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
He got married in a freaking periwinkle blue leisure suit with that haircut and a fro.
Tim Dick, aka Tim Allen. Oh my god.
Hit TV show Home Improvement, and from there he starred in dozens more movies and TV shows, but he's probably best known for his voice acting in the very popular movie series Toy Story, where he plays Buzz Lightyear. Today, Tim is sober and has been for decades.
The accidental superstar.
In 1964, during his final semester of college in Wisconsin,
Freaking Molly Shannon. That movie could have been great if they would have just had a better script.
Yeah.
21-year-old man named Harry decided to take an acting class. He believed it would be an easy A, and he'd always been pretty shy, and so he figured this class might be able to help him get over that. But this class wound up having a much larger impact on Harry's life than he ever could have imagined. Not only did he meet his future wife in this class, but he also realized he loved acting, something he never thought he would like, and he decided after college that that was the thing he was going to pursue. And so after he graduates later that year, he and his girlfriend get married, and then they fly out to Hollywood, California, where Harry auditions for Columbia Pictures' New Talent Program, which is basically this program that's designed to help new actors and actresses get parts in Hollywood, because it's so hard to do that. And so he's accepted into this program. He signs a contract with them that pays him almost nothing, and right away they start shopping him around for different parts in TV shows and movies, but nobody is interested in Harry. Nobody. The only roles he was getting were incredibly minor and usually non-speaking, and so it was really not advancing his career. Then, in 1966, so 2 years after he and his wife had arrived in Hollywood, Harry received what seemed like his first big break. He was offered a speaking role in a movie, although it was a very minor role. It was a 60-second bit where Harry basically walked on screen in this hotel, and he started calling out for a particular guest, and when he finds this this guest, he walks up and gives him a piece of paper, and then he leaves. So it's a forgettable scene, but it's a real scene in a real movie. And so this was a big deal for Harry. And so after Harry goes over to the studio and he films this whole scene and it's all done, he goes back over to the headquarters of the new talent program at Columbia Pictures. And as soon as he goes inside, one of the producers that was in charge of this new talent program, who had apparently had a chance already to see this 60-second scene in this movie that Harry was in, he calls Harry over and asks him to go up to his office for a second. And so the pair go up to his office, they both sit down, and the guy looks at him and says, look, I just gotta shoot you straight here. You're not gonna make it in Hollywood. You're not gonna be a movie star. When Tony Curtis was told to carry groceries across this room in one of his first movies, everybody knew right away as he's carrying those groceries that that guy, he's going to be a movie star. You could see it in the scene, even though all he was doing was carrying groceries. And when you did your scene as the bellhop walking around the hotel, I just didn't see it. You don't have the X factor. You're not going to be a movie star. For reference, Tony Curtis, the guy this producer was referencing, was a huge movie star in the 1950s and
father of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, really?
Yes, and the one at one time the husband to Janet Leigh, was her from Psycho, the woman who died in the shower, Vivian Crane, and basically his marriage to her is what birthed Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, wow.
So there you go.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn.
1960s. And so Harry, after getting this horrible comment made about him, he pauses for a second, and then he leans across the table and looks at this producer and squints his eyes and says, you know, if Tony was such a good actor, shouldn't we have believed he was just a grocery delivery boy, not a movie star? And at this totally smart aleck remark, the producer fired Harry on the spot.
Well, hate to say it, but producers when they're on a power trip, there was one producer I heard about. He was just a complete and total asshole to everyone. He was a director as well, George P. Cosmatos. Anyone who was below him, they were dirt.
Oh,
like
shit.
he treated them like fucking dirt. But there were people who were like above him. He would like suck up to them, kiss ass, and all that. And he directed the movie, or no, he didn't direct it completely, but he was brought in to finish the movie Tombstone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And as soon as like he arrived on set, Michael Behan, who was in the movie, saw how George Cosmatos. He said, I've said 3 words. I've said 5 words to him. He said the first day he ever met him, he's like, hello there. And then the second time that he was the day after when he first saw George, how he treated people. He said, I said 3 more words to him, and I never said anything else to him. As soon as he walked up to me, I said, "Fuck you, George."
Damn.
Those were the 5 words I said to him.
Damn.
And yeah, the movie is like the fact that Tombstone got finished is a miracle. And the fact it's as good as it is. I mean, that's the thing. They originally had like the screenwriter Kevin Jari. He was the one who was directing it, but inter-studio politics basically made it to where, like 3/4 of the way through filming, he got booted as director, and they replaced him with George P. Cosmatos, and George P. Cosmatos got full director's credit for it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Even though he only did like less than
the last quarter, and even then he didn't do much because second unit directors shot stuff that the studio wanted to like have in the movie, and they say out of total George P. Cosmatos' total footage that's used in the film, it's less than 10 minutes.
And look how much it went on to make, and look how much he's getting.
Oh, look how influential that Western. It's one of the most influential Westerns of the last, 30, 40 years.
Oh, yeah.
It's up there. I mean, and you look at the who's who of a cast, dude. Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Powers Booth, Michael Behan. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Yep.
I mean, Thomas Hayden Church, Stephen Lang. Holy shit. What a cast.
You'll never get another movie like that.
I don't think so.
No.
You never will. Anyway.
Harry would go on to sign a similar new talent program deal with
These
Universal
headphones do that
Studios,
occasionally.
but
Sorry about
again,
that.
he could not get a real part to save his life. And the feedback he finally got was, Harry, you're just not pretty enough, and you're not really that talented. By the mid-1970s...
Is this Harry Dean Stanton? I think this is Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry was in his mid-30s, and while he still aspired to be an actor and wanted to be an actor, he was making almost no money from acting. And so he decided, instead of acting, he was going to become a carpenter. That was going to be his full-time job, despite the fact he knew nothing about carpentry. And so he literally, just because he has this interest in carpentry, goes to the library and checks out all these how to be a carpenter books. And over the next couple of weeks, he studies these books and does a couple projects around his own house. And then finally, he just felt confident enough, or he was just desperate enough for money, that he began going around to his network and asking people in Hollywood if they needed some woodworking, if they needed help from a carpenter. And surprisingly, lots of people took him up on his offer, and they hired him to be their carpenter. And before long, Harry was dubbed the Carpenter to the Stars, which was kind of ironic because he actually was not a very good carpenter, and he was regularly seen on the job literally holding a book teaching him how to be a carpenter while doing the carpentry with his other hand. In 1976, Harry was a full-fledged carpenter and had been for about a year when one of his very close friends named Fred Roos, who was a casting director and film producer, gave him a call and told him he had a very unique opportunity for him. Now, at this point, Harry was not looking for any more acting roles. He kind of figured that that ship has sailed, even though he wishes he could be an actor. At this point, he had a wife, he had 2 sons, and so he's thinking, I gotta just keep doing this carpentry thing because I gotta pay the bills. So he says to Fred, you know, I appreciate the offer of whatever this is, but if it has to do with acting, you know, I'm just not interested. And Fred, who was one of the very few people in Hollywood who fundamentally believed Harry was destined to be a star, told Harry, no, this is different. This is not a pure go out and try out for the part and hope for the best. This is like, put yourself in a good position and maybe somebody will discover you're as talented as you really are. And so Harry's like, okay, tell me about this opportunity, you know, I'm interested. And so Fred explained there was this really talented and eccentric film director who was trying to cast an upcoming movie. And the way he went about casting for movies was a little bit strange. Instead of having each of the actors and actresses show up and individually audition for their parts, he would group batches of actors and actresses and he would have them audition as a group, because that way he could tell if there was chemistry amongst some of the actors and actresses, and he could gauge their individual talent. And so he had all these groups already planned out, but one of the groups was missing one male actor. Somebody had dropped out at the last minute and was not going to be there on the day of the audition. And so when Fred Roos heard through the grapevine that this director was going to be short this one person, he immediately reached out to the director and said, hey, I got your guy. There's this guy, Harry. He's done a little bit of acting. He's incredibly talented. You got to give him a chance. You know, at the minimum, he can come in there and he can at least just read the lines and help you do this audition, but I know he's available that day and I know he would love to help. And so this director tells Fred, okay, thank you. I'd love to have him come down, but stress to him, he is not auditioning for any part in this movie. I'm not bringing in some person and just throwing them in. It takes me a long time to find people that I want to audition, and he is not one of them. He is just there to facilitate the audition. He's just going to read the lines so the other people in his group can do their audition. And so after Fred stopped explaining this situation, Harry was actually kind of annoyed. He was annoyed that Fred had basically already volunteered him, and so he couldn't really even say no without
He's just like, dude, I got a great opportunity for you. Okay, what is it? Well, I already kind of signed off for you, so you got to show up there. He's like, dude, what the hell?
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Fred looked bad, and he didn't like the idea that this was basically a waste of his time. He was being asked to go read lines, but not even try out. So how was this even an opportunity? But Fred told him, look, worst case scenario, you meet some pretty powerful people in Hollywood. This director's a big deal. The people there are going to be big deals in Hollywood. So you'll meet them, and maybe they will recognize your talent, or maybe you get some new clients for your carpentry business. So no matter what, you get something out of it. And so finally, Harry says, okay, fine, I'll go do this thing. And so Harry goes to this audition, he's handed the script, and he's reminded repeatedly to not attempt to audition. Don't try to act, just read the lines. I don't care if you're monotone, you just read these lines because you're not auditioning.
I was going to say, for me, if I would Stephen Wright has the most monotonous voice out there. He's like, I spilled spot remover on my dog. Now he's gone. Yeah, just like the driest of dry deliveries, and even he got parts in film being as dry as he was. Like in I don't know, like the princess, the Swan Princess like films. Don't know if you've seen them.
I've not seen those.
It's a set of animated films throughout like the 90s, and he was in every single one of them. And I'm like, okay, if this dude can get on, can like do this, I wonder like what I would be capable of. because you know, like it's just like, I guess I just gotta talk like this and just be like, hey, you're not gonna say anything back.
See, I wish I could do that.
But no, instead I'm just gonna stare blankly and just be like, this is tiring. Do I really have to be here?
Everybody else is, you're not. Is that clear? And Harry's like, yes.
We have an intruder. Hello, Nikolai.
You guys got the fucker down here?
Yeah, he's back here on the love seat.
What's up, brother?
Yo, forgot y'all were down here, and I was like, where the hell is the dog?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, he right there.
We're gonna play on the 25th this month, straight to you.
Okay, man. Is that, what day is that?
It's Saturday.
Saturday? Sure thing, man.
Yeah, Jacob won't be able to make it right now because of his job, but
I saw that.
going for the moment.
Yeah, we'll keep her going.
Wanna go outside with him?
There he goes.
Take him outside and then let him back down here if he wants to go back down there.
All right. Well, there you go, everybody. That was a surprise appearance from Nick. So, yeah, I guess let's get back to it. Remember, Harry, don't audition.
Right?
I get it. I'm just reading the lines. And so Harry sits down and he starts reading the lines, and he's trying to do what they told him to do, but the way he was actually feeling and his actual personality began seeping through. He started coming off as this really grumpy and sarcastic guy that just didn't care about anybody there. He was just totally bitter that he was in the situation he was in. And apparently, this is exactly what the director was looking for in one of the characters he was trying to cast. That kind of nonchalant, bravado, macho, alpha type guy who just didn't care about anybody. And so over the course of the day, as he's reading the script over and over again, not caring at all about how he's performing, he's just simply reading these lines and just being himself. He was actually doing this amazing job portraying one of the characters. And so they let Harry go the whole day. No one told him they were looking at him as a potential character. And then at the end of the day, when Harry was about to just throw the script in the trash and leave without talking to anyone, the film director, better known as George Lucas,
Oh my God.
better known as
Harrison Ford? What the fuck? Oh, come on.
for this movie, Star Wars.
Now, come on.
Harry, I was like, wait, it can't be Harry Dean Stanton. The timeline doesn't add up. I'm like, who is Harry? And then all of a sudden, just boom.
What the?
Harrison frickin' Ford. Here's the thing, though. Like, this is kind of a cheat. Well, okay. I think this might be for American Graffiti, because American Graffiti is where Harrison Ford really got his start with George Lucas. Then after that was Star Wars, and then the rest is history. The biggest box office star probably of all time.
Oh yeah, hands down.
You need to play Han Solo. And so Harrison Ford said, all right, I'll play.
Okay, okay, wait. Han Solo, no. Okay. Want to emphasize something really quickly here. George Lucas knew who Harrison Ford was before Star Wars. Look at this. Look at this. There it is.
1973. Yeah.
1973, American Graffiti.
Yep.
Oh, wait. Who's this in the cast right here? Oh, my gosh. You mean to tell me that George Lucas doesn't remember who played Bob Falfa from friggin' American Graffiti? No, he remembers. Damn it! Come on, don't need to lie. I'm not gonna say. Okay, I shouldn't say that he's lying. I should instead just say it's
a little bit of misinformation.
A little bit,
not meaningfully.
I would say it's just like maybe you could have said that this was for American Graffiti and it would have worked better. But yeah, that's my only problem with this. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that, oh my gosh, this was Harrison Ford. But then as soon as he said Han Solo, I'm like, wait a minute.
It took away a little bit of the...
Yeah. Just a wee bit of it. Anyway, so, yeah, American Graffiti, that was, let's just finish this up. Hold on.
Play Han Solo. And that role as Han Solo propelled Harrison Ford into the megastar that we know him as today. A few years after Harrison had starred in Star Wars and he was this total A-list celebrity, he was at a Hollywood studio in one of their restaurants when one of the waiters walked over to him with the silver tray, and on this silver tray was a single business card. So Harrison reaches over, he grabs the business card, the waiter walks away, and he looks at the card, and handwritten on it is the phrase, "I missed my bet." And he flipped the card over, and it was the name of that producer from the New Talent program that had called Harry into his office and said, "You're never going to make it in Hollywood and you're fired." It was that guy, and he had apparently sent the waiter over to make amends because he was eating lunch in the same restaurant. And so Harrison would later say in interviews that at the time he got this card, and to this day that he was doing this interview, he said it gave him immense pleasure that when he looked up from this business card and he understood the situation, he knows this guy's in the room somewhere, as he looked around the room, he couldn't recognize the guy because he didn't know what he looked like. He was a nobody. And so instead of wasting any more time looking for this producer, he just looked at the card, chucked it, and went back to eating his lunch. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's episode, let us know in the comments section what it is and where you found it.
Looks like I missed my bet. Well, okay. Yeah, when you place your bet, okay. For instance, placing a bet on an actor, it's one thing. Placing a bet on an athlete, it's another. For instance, 1998 NFL draft. The two best quarterbacks in the game that are going into the draft: Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf. You could not have projected any two different. No. Peyton Manning, two-time NFL champ, multiple-time NFL MVP. Set passing records at the wazoo. Then Ryan Leaf, who's easily one of the most disappointing prospects ever, and it's not even close. I know that people would say, "Well, Jamarcus Russell was worth." Yeah, but Jamarcus Russell didn't have to go up against Peyton freaking Manning.
I mean, to be fair, Manning was like a once-in-a-lifetime type talent. I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, he's one of the best ever, and it's just like Harrison Ford. I guarantee you, the rest of the people that were in that acting course and the guy and that producer probably placed a stake on saying, "Oh, this guy's going to be the next big thing." And all of a sudden, he looks up. He's like, "Holy shit, Star! Damn it,
Harrison Ford!"
Sorry, Harrison Ford. Yeah, Harrison Ford front and center with his gun out, just is like, damn. Looks like I missed my bet. There you go.
I mean, in hindsight, would you say that Harrison Ford was the biggest star at the time on Star Wars?
When the film first well, here's the thing. When the movie came out, there was the biggest star that was in the film was Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, because Alec Guinness was a very well-respected actor. He did Bridge on the River Kwai. He did Lawrence of Arabia. He was all over the place.
He also did stage acting.
Yes.
Didn't he?
Yes, Alec Guinness. Alec Guinness was the sturdy, old school actor who gave the film credibility. And then of course, you had the young guns coming up. You had Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and of course Harrison Ford as Han Solo. And basically that changed everything up. That basically made it to where it's so Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill are now all going to be megastars. And it turned out to be true for the most part because Carrie Fisher went on to do a lot of things, although her career didn't go the same direction as Harrison Ford or Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, after crashing out of like film acting, not completely. I mean, he was in other films and everything, but he also got into voice acting and became the most famous voice actor for the Joker.
Yep.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of people who didn't know that. Yeah, Luke Skywalker voiced the Joker, and it's seen as one of the best to ever do it. And Harrison Ford, you look at the who's who of just like the cavalcade of films he's worked on, the Star Wars franchise, Indiana Jones franchise. I mean, the Jack Ryan franchise. You know, Clear and Present Danger and Patriot Games.
Yeah.
The dude has had success after success after success, and he's never really had to try.
No.
And I would say the biggest thing with him is that you know, his laconic presence, just like it shone through. It shined through, and the other thing too was, I would say, another comparison would be Ed O'Neill for Al Bundy.
Okay.
Because Ed O'Neill for Al Bundy, Ed O'Neill was a fairly well-known actor in when he auditioned for Al Bundy, but he did the audition different than everyone else. Everyone came into the audition trying to be like Jackie Gleason from The Honeymooners, like, oh, what do you mean?
Like over the top.
Yeah,
so.
everyone was trying to be that way. And then you had Al Bundy, who was just like, the dog got hit by a car. Yeah. It's like, oh, honey, how much money did you lose at bingo? Someone crashed into my car. Oh God, no! It was great.
His stage presence, man, it was one of a kind.
Yes. Let's go ahead and finish this up.
Yeah.
Give us the timestamp, and if you're the first to do that, we'll pin you at the top of the comments section. If you got something out of today's episode and you haven't done this already, please replace the like button's Shroot Bucks with Stanley Nichols. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly 2 or 3 video uploads. We are now selling merchandise like flannels and hats, and mugs and sweatshirts and all sorts of stuff. If you're interested in buying official Mr. Ballin merch, go to shopmrballin.com, and to learn about upcoming deals and promotions, check out our shop's Instagram page. The username is shopmrballin. If you want to get in touch with me, you can direct message me on Instagram or on Twitter. My username for both platforms is the same. It's johnballin416. I also have a ton of content over on TikTok where my username is Mr. Ballin. We also have a second YouTube channel called Mr. Ballin Shorts where we post random short videos and lost episodes. If you have a story suggestion, please submit it to our subreddit just called Mr. Ballin. It's linked in the description below. So whether I see you on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, or some combination, just know that I really appreciate your support, and until next time, that's going to do it. See ya.
If he doesn't have a necklace in his merch shop called the Mr. Ballin chain, I'm severely disappointed.
Mr. Ballin chain. Maybe he has. I don't know. Maybe he has. That's the thing. I don't know. Well, that was Mr. Ballin. Well, that's more of his. That's more of one of his light ones. Whereas he mostly focuses on scary stuff. That was pretty light. You know, there wasn't really much of a horror aspect to it. Whereas he's covered a lot of different. He covered Ed Gein on here.
Oh, shit.
And it was terrifying. It was pretty terrifying. And then there was another one he also covered. It was this couple walking through the woods, and as this couple was walking through the woods, the girlfriend heard something from behind a tree, and the boyfriend shined his light over there, and then as they started walking away, the boyfriend tripped on something, and on the side of the trail, and when he tripped on something on the side of the trail, he reached down to see what it was, and he said he felt a hand. And then he immediately stood up, grabbed her hand, and started running back to her. what? And then later on, the two had went. I think the two had went their separate ways, like in life and everything. They dated a little bit, didn't work out. It happens.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, there's a broadcast, and it's just like, we now cut to the interview with famed serial killer Ted Bundy. Mr. Bundy, what was one of the times that you nearly got caught? He's like, well, I was out in the woods, I was burying one of the bodies, and this couple came walking through, and I was waiting behind a tree with a lead pipe, and if they had tried to do something, I probably would have had to have killed them and dug a deeper hole. So the couple, like the former couple, immediately heard that, were just like, what? Oh my god! Like, just coming that close. That close to winding up being another victim of one of the most prolific serial killers in American history. That's terrifying to me.
Could you imagine that, man? Like that gives me goosebumps even thinking about it.
Yeah, not good.
No
bueno. Well, either way, I think that's gonna do it for this one. This was Mr. Ballin' Top 3 Celebrity Stories. If you all enjoyed and you want to see more from Mr. Ballin', click his name in the title of the video. And until next time, I'm Nate.
I'm JT.
Y'all be good people. Take care. Bye-bye.